to MVP Chess. Picking up today where we left off on Puzzle of Survival. We're 55 out of 55 with no strikes. Afterwards, we're going to play some games in the 10-minute pool. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And get over to Twitch, MVP_chess. Join the community. Watch live. We'd really appreciate a follow. All right. So, hopefully we got a good chance to break into the 60s. The last puzzle that we solved, again, we're 55 out of 55 with 0 strikes. The last puzzle we solved was 2885. 2885. All right, let's see what's going on here. In this position, queens and rooks cancel out. Knight and bishop. So we are down a knight in this position, but we do have a pawn as compensation. We do have a pawn. So in this position, I mean, one thing we always got to consider is that black can just dump this knight with check. Okay. So I do like the look of just the simple knight takes e5. Okay. And then you ask yourself, what happens if is black okay if they simply castle in that position? No. No, they're not. I don't think. I think the move there, if black castles, I think the move is knight c4. Gaining time on the queen. Okay. This knight is protected, and then we're just preparing to capture here potentially. Are walking into a pin though in that position. I mean, it has to be one of these two captures because, you know, if not, bishop takes e7 is the other move we have to consider. But of course then there is knight takes f3, but I don't think that works for black because queen takes f3 and then black's got major problems on the e-file. So probably taking with the queen there. Probably taking with the queen and then knight takes e4. What's your follow-up, though, in that position? Queen takes e7, knight takes e4. Castles. Not really much doing. And similar to the puzzle yesterday, you know, we would be up a pawn, but black will certainly have compensation with this bishop. I think you can make the argument that this pawn on d5 is perhaps a bit overextended. I don't think that's enough in that position. Conversely, like if we take on e5 with the knight and black doesn't castle, let's say he takes with the bishop, takes, then there's a pin on the e-file. And that looks pretty good. So I'm thinking knight takes e5 here. Okay. So there's the move castle. And I think the key move in this position must be knight c4. It is. And here's a nice move, okay? And this is something I didn't appreciate. I wasn't expecting black to take on d5. One nice thing we have in this position, after bishop takes e7, if rook e8, if we're worried about walking into this sort of pin on the file, we have the move knight e3, gaining more time in the queen and also blocking the e-file, which is really nice. All right, we got that one. That one was 29-35. So a lot of different captures to calculate, a lot of different variations to calculate there. And yeah, the important thing was just seeing that knight c4 move, which we did. So definitely happy with that one. Okay. In this position, material is even. Okay. So in this puzzle we could castle with equality, right? We castle, the positions roughly equal. Maybe you could say that white has a slight pull in the position just because they're going to have the 2-on-1 majority in the endgame. That's possible. So I think, you know, we should be looking to play for a little bit more here. I mean, the key variation to calculate or to consider is just taking with the rook, right? If queen c8, rook d8, it's tough, and it's tough for white to organize something on the back rank. Like if you have rook takes d7, let's say queen a8 instead, rook d8, rook c8, you know, trying to really hammer us on the back rank there. White's got their own back rank problems, and we'd have a move like queen b1. Alright, I mean, let's take. There was really no harm in taking there, because at the very least, we just castle out of this, and we have the same exact kind of scenario. So, it's kind of. Oh, thanks. Yeah, we're 56 out of 56 with no strikes. No strikes. It's kind of one of those puzzles, like, where it just doesn't hurt to take the material, put it on the board, and try to calculate it, because at the very least you just castle out of this, and so there's like absolutely no risk going for this line in a way. All right. So we have this pin. What to do about it? Really, the only way to defend against this move is I mean, maybe you could get a position in which you have two rooks versus the queen. You know, that's possible. Like playing a move like queen d5. Rook takes, pawn takes. Queen c8, not really a big deal. You can block it. That might actually end up in a perpetual. If that pawn were a little, like if we got that position with this pawn a little further advanced, like two rooks and a pawn maybe on the 5th or the 6th rank, that would be a little bit more attractive to me. The other move to consider here is kind of the simple e5, because we push e5 and then the queen is defending the rook. So and that's nice. That's nice. Because I was thinking we would have to block there. We actually don't. If e5, okay, queen c8, check, we can actually play king e7 in that position. If the queen takes the rook, we have rook takes d1 mate. Okay. If the rook takes on d7, we have queen takes d7. And once again, white cannot capture that rook in the corner because we have a mate on d1. So queen c8 is not a thing. But it may be just to try to maybe force some sort of like perpetual or something. I wonder. Queen. So e5, queen c8, king e7, queen c5. Okay, that checks the king, but it loses contact with the rook. So we could play king f6 in that position. King f6. And there's no real disruptive checks, and you know the queen is still defending the rook. Okay, and they just play the simple move g3. Interesting. Don't really know what that's about. Oh, well, no, of course I know what that's about. Okay, so we played kind of the only move in the position. Again, at any time we want, we can just bail out, okay? We can bail out with rough equality. So g3 renews the threat of queen c8, really. Wow. Do we have in this position the crazy looking move? King d8. I don't think so. No, that doesn't work. No, king d8 absolutely doesn't work, because queen a8, king e7, takes. Again, the queen can capture on h8 in the corner because white has given themselves left. So we might be able to use this opportunity to bring the queen back into a more defensive role. Try to break this pin. So let's say a move like queen e6. Queen e6, queen c8. Yeah, we really got to watch there because we cannot block with that rook. We can't block with that rook because of the threat of checkmate. So it's possible here we have to play this really prophylactic looking move. And I already feel like the training I've been doing, like starting yesterday doing calculation, is already paying off. Like just in terms of my candidate moves. Because I calculated a kind of a similar puzzle yesterday where I had to find this like kind of only king move to kind of consolidate a material advantage and get out of like a mating net. But I actually think the move is king e7 in this position. Just breaking this pin, getting ready to bring our other rook to d8. Okay, there's no longer a threat of queen c8, and we've already established that a check like queen c5 is no big deal. Because, well, hold on. King e7, queen c5. If king f6, in that position, unfortunately white can repeat the position with queen c6. And what do I do then? Because the rook would just be falling. So maybe, man, this is a crazy position. Maybe after king e7, queen c5, okay, the only move in the position is king d8. King d8. Where again we've broken the pin, and the key difference in that position is white no longer has the move queen a8 because the queen would be on c5. King e7, queen c5, let's say king d8. What happens if white pivots and says, okay, now I'm going to attack you on the C file? Man, this is tough. I just don't see what else it is, because if we try to make basically any queen move in this position, queen c8 is a big time problem. Big time problem. Yeah, but I think in that position, if white decides to pivot to the C file, then I can play rook e8. And then if there's some check, that rook is then defended and I can bring the king back to e7. And then I can start maybe unwinding a little bit. Boom! Yeah. All right, 57 out of 57. We've already hit our all-time high. All-time high. Well, at least as far as the streak goes. I don't really... the stream goes. I don't really know what my all-time high is. Okay. So the important thing to realize in this position is that, oh, I think I see the solution already. The important thing to realize in this position is that we are down heavy material. Okay, we have a bishop. We just have a bishop for the queen. So, the move that looks really attractive is bishop h3, okay? The rook can't really do anything to interpose. We would just take it. If the king moves to d1, rook b8 is checkmate, okay? So in that position, the queen actually has to interpose. And I think the key thing to see in this position is that we don't want to just simply take on f5 with the bishop, because then black would recapture. Black would actually be up a pawn in that position. And, well, I guess we could capture back, but then black could capture this pawn on a3. And if anyone's better, it would be black in that position. But what we can do instead is on queen f5, we can actually play rook takes f5, okay? And then when the pawn recaptures, we recapture with the bishop, pushing the king to d1. We have rook b8, king e7, and then we're winning that rook in the corner. Okay, black would be able to capture on a3, but then we could recapture in kind on h7. And we would have a rook and bishop for basically a rook and a pawn, which would be good for us. Yeah, that's a very forcing line. Very forcing line. All right, let's go for it. All right, that one was 3,025. That puzzle was 3,025. We're 58 out of 58. 58 out of 58. 0 strikes. This is what you call a run. This is a big time run. All right. What's going on in this position? All right. Queens, rooks, minors cancel out. 6 pawns v7. So we are down a pawn in this position. But the key thing to notice about this position is that white's king is all alone. It's lacking defenders, and we have 4 pieces that are ready to potentially attack. So, let's see. The thing is, though, okay, that I think a lot of people are going to be really fixated on the king side here. Thinking about moves like queen d6, thinking about moves like rook takes h2, things like that. But the interesting thing in this position is white actually has a huge problem on the d file. A huge problem, okay? How do you respond? How do you respond to the simple rook takes d5? Where you have undefended pieces kind of stacked on the d file. You know, you move the bishop, right? You move the bishop, I take the knight. And there's no way to defend the bishop a second time. That seems to be the way to go. Now, one thing we might need to avoid in that type of variation, well, actually, I was thinking, like, if white counterattacks our bishop, we need to be careful where we move it so that white can't offload their bishop. But we would just take on d3, and if black takes on g4, then we take on d2. So I think this is more of an exercise about having full board awareness, not being too preoccupied with what's going on over here, because it all looks very menacing. It all looks very good. It looks like it's primed for an attack. But in reality, the important part of the game is going on in the center and on the other side of the board. I just don't see any way for white to get out of that. I mean, you could consider perhaps a move like knight e4 is worth a try, just to see if black will bite and capture on e4, but you just captured on d3 anyway. And if knight takes f3 check, it's no problem because we got the move g takes f6, okay, where queen still defends everything. Okay, so we did get that line. Takes and g takes. I've been working on that. I've been working on those. That was okay. I've been working on it for like a day or two. But I've really identified that weakness in my calculation where I've been calculating lines and just missing sacrifices and intermezzos that are designed to disrupt my coordination, and that was one of them. So that was something important to calculate. So I'm really glad that just even entered my mind, that we're able to calculate it and that we're able to see that g takes f6 solves basically everything. Okay. 59 out of 59. That last puzzle is 3052. We have no strikes. Okay, but I've proven that I am capable of missing 3 in a row. It happened on our last run. It was a promising run that really went south in a hurry. Okay, so excuse me. Queens, rooks, minors cancel out. We are down 2 pawns in this position. And these 2 pawns happen to be connected outside pass pawns. So, we're down like heavy material. Like at least a piece, if not like almost a full rook. So we need to really find something dynamite here. There are a couple interesting looking discoveries with the knight, like knight b5 comes to mind, knight e2 check comes to mind. But you got to ask yourself, given the material balance of the position, is winning the exchange enough? Like, if we play knight e2, bishop takes, and we capture on a1, I don't know about that. I don't think our rook is better than those bishops and the 2 connected pass pawns. I just don't. The queen is also a little short on squares. A little bit. See, if we play a move like knight b5, that gains time on the queen. Does the queen have a way to maintain contact with that knight and counterattack it? I guess the move would have to be in that position, queen a4. Queen a4 in that position. Don't know about that. Bishop takes a1. Queen takes b5. we'd be able to get a decent attack going potentially with rook e1. Rook e1. Oh, yeah. Because look, after rook e1 in that line, if knight b5, queen a4, bishop takes a1, queen takes b5, rook e1 check, king h2, we have queen takes h4 mate. Boom. So white would be unable to recapture on b5 in that line. They wouldn't be able to do it. So that changes things significantly, right? Because if white has two connected passed pawns and we have a full rook as compensation, well, not as compensation, you get my drift, then I think we are better. I don't think those two connected passed pawns are worth quite a full rook. They would be if they were both on the 6th rank and impossible to stop, but yeah, it looks like this line just worked concretely. And the other nice thing too is that knight on b5 kind of temporarily blockades the passed pawns. Yeah, this and if you go back and like we've been talking about this a lot, why is this move possible? Why is this entire line possible? It is because of white's last move, pawn to h4. Right? Because if this pawn were back on h2, let's say it were black to play in this position. Well, okay. It would still work because rook e1 would be a back rank mate. Let's say the pawn was on h3 instead. Okay, that's a better example. Because then the king would have luft. We would not have the move queen takes h4 at the end. So white would actually have time to capture our knight on b5. So there's a lot to calculate, but at the end of the day, it kind of comes back to, what weaknesses did our opponent's last move kind of leave behind? All right, let's go for it. Oh, okay. Just giving up the queen. That's surprising. I guess the attack was too much otherwise. Okay, then I think we should take. And then take on a1. That's 60. 0 strikes. Boom. Yeah, that was a really weird computer move. I mean, I guess the computer evaluates that was a very inhuman move to make. I think a human would have kept the queens on the board because that's just kind of capitulation because you're taking your biggest asset, your 2-on-1, not your 2-on-1, your outside connected passed pawns, and neutralizing them a bit and allowing them to be doubled and taking the queens off the board. Yeah, that's just capitulation there. Okay. So we do have a very forcing move in the position, which is knight h4. Oh, first of all, let's look at the material balance. We basically need to deliver mate. Okay, we're not only down the exchange, we're down a full rook, and we have 3 pawns to compensate for our troubles, but it's nowhere near enough. Not even close. So knight h4 is a very forcing move. King g1, forced. Queen g5. If king f1 in that position, we have queen g2, king e1, knight f3, king d1, queen d2 mate. So knight h4, king g1, queen g5, king f2 is forced. King f2 is forced in that position. And after queen g2, king e3 would be forced, because otherwise we'd be just basically repeating the same line. I mean, I think we just have to go for this line anyway. There's really nothing in the position. So I think we may as well just put it on the board. Because it's not like we can come up here and contemplate sacrificing our knight. We can't deliver checkmate with a lone queen. I tell this to my students all the time. You got to get your king involved. You got to promote or get your other pieces involved. And even if we're able to win a rook with a double attack, who cares? We're still down a whole rook. So this is kind of like only move. So we may as well just play it. Oh, and he did go back. So this just leads to mate. We've already calculated this. Oh, okay, and then he came up. Okay, so it kind of... That's fair. It just kind of transposes. Okay. So it's really important that we don't let the king run towards the center of the board. But I see a really nice potential mate here. Queen d2 check. Okay. Queen d2 check. What's really nice when the queen and the knight are coordinating together, when they're on the same color complex, okay? Okay, when the knight is on a dark square, it's attacking light squares, obviously. So when the queen and the knight are on the same color complex, they're just attacking so many squares. So in this position with queen d2, okay, the king cannot go back to the first rank because we have queen g2 and that whole forced mate sequence that we already calculated. So where is the only square to go to? Well, it's on g3. Okay, queen g3, king g3 rather. But then we have queen g2, and if king takes h4, queen g5 would be mate. So in that position, king f4 would be forced. Wait. Yeah, after queen g2, queen f4, king f4 forced. But then the queen comes back to g5 anyway. And that is checkmate. So it's really interesting in that both of these lines, the queen is just kind of doing a loop-de-loop and coming back to the square that we're on right now to deliver checkmate. Oh, okay. So, didn't go for the lines where we were potentially sacrificing the knight for the mate. So here we just play the forced line that we had calculated before. The knight comes in. Oh, the rook was there. Oh, no. Oh. Oh, let's go back. Oh, man. I missed that the rook was there. Oh, no, we just capture the rook in the corner. I had completely miscalculated that whole line. Because I thought the reason the king couldn't go back to the first rank was because of this mate. The rook is there. Rook takes f3. Funny thing is, oh no, because the rook would be able to come back and interpose after we take on h1. So we just take on h1. So I see why that's the most kind of tenacious defense. Ah, man. Oh, I invested a lot of energy in that one. Oh, brother. All right. We're 60 out of 61 with one strike. 60 out of 61 with one strike. Good morning to everyone in the chat. We've got a good run going here on Puzzle Rush Survival. Don't forget, if you haven't done so, please shoot us a follow. We're getting really close to our 160 follower goal, so we really appreciate your support and trying to get there. Okay. So what's going on here? So material balance, queens and rooks cancel out, knights and bishops. We're down to knight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just down a full knight. But we've got this really monster pass pawn here. Just not really sure how to make use of it. The move that's really kind of calling to me is this. I don't know why. I'm not sure that works. I mean, H1 is the most forcing move. You know, to ask what happens if I do it anyway. Man, what about Queen F3? Queen F3 is a wild looking move. But I actually think it might work. This is like right up the calculation workbook alley. The book I just started working is considering right now I'm working on the chapter candidate moves, precisely considering just seemingly insane moves like Queen F3. But I actually think that this move might work, and it's worth investing some time to try to make it happen. So Queen F3, obviously, the question we ask is what happens if knight takes. If king takes H2, we just crash through on F2 with our queen. So knight takes F3 is basically forced in that position. Then the nice thing is that we play E takes F3 with check. If the king takes on F3, we get rook takes E1, okay? And white will be unable to stop this pass pawn on H2. So really, the move you got to look at there for white is to capture on H2 with the king. But then we have knight G4 check. Knight G4 check. And then potentially just crashing through on E1 with a really devastating mate threat on H1 that I don't think can be stopped. Man, this is crazy. I think it works. Boom. Okay, so the main the main question to ask ourselves in this position is, do we check first? I think the answer is yes. Or do we take on E1? I think we have to check first because we really need this knight coming to G4 to make this line work. I think. All right, this is the key moment in the, because like rook takes. Well, don't forget we are down a piece. Because rook takes E1 does gain a little time on the bishop. But I think coming to G4 is a principled move, because if the king steps back, it's just mate. If the king comes to H3, we can take on F2 with check, forcing the king to H4. We would then have rook takes E1 with basically an unstoppable mate. Yeah. Or do we have... Wait a minute. No. I was going to say, do we have potentially a different type of checkmate? Got that one. That one was rated 3205. 3205. All right, we're 61 out of 62. One strike. Man, this is a hell of a run. All right, what's going on here? Rooks cancel out. Queens cancel out. So if we were able to consolidate this bishop somehow, this advantage, we would just be winning. I wonder if it's something simple, not simple, but like getting the queens off the board. Like Queen D8, Queen takes D8, Rook takes D8, King H7. I guess pushing F6 doesn't really do anything there. I mean, it kind of does. Takes. Could there be a mating net there with the rooks? I'm not really seeing any. Oh, wait a minute. All right, don't forget, this bishop's under attack right now, but it does still have some influence, specifically on his F7 pawn. Man, so I'm wondering, can we just play the crazy looking move? Again, candidate moves, man. Rook G6. Rook G6. In that position, the queen cannot maintain contact. With F7. Can't do it. But Black can play the move there. Rook takes B3 check. Removing the pin with tempo. A takes B3. F takes G6. But it's really important, like if the king ends up on h7 and we're just able to recapture the rook with like f takes g6, that could be mate. Takes. Man. Rook g6 looks so tempting. At the very least, we would have a complicated position with chances for both sides. I actually think there's fairly little risk there because he's going to have to sack the exchange on b3. I think that's looking good for us. There are going to be big time threats on the back rank. There is going to be big time threats of taking on g6 with the pawn and mating him on h7. All right. I'm sure a lot of players went for that line. All right. Let's see what's going on here. So looks like we have to give. Oh, was it really just as simple as doubling on the 8? Queen takes f5 there. WV Chess, what's up, man? Oh, yeah, you're right. I totally missed that. I totally missed that was coming with check. I thought we had options there. All right. Yeah, there was a lot of tempting moves in that one. A lot of tempting moves in that one. I just like that. Okay, it worked out for us in the preceding problem, where I just sacrificed my queen for a knight. I just like that I'm even considering these candidate moves now. Like, they're these, like, really mental moves. Okay. Wow. This obviously comes from a Sicilian. Most likely a dragon. We have an open C file. Well, no. We got, well, this pawn could have potentially come from the F file. Yeah, that's probably most likely how it ended up here. But in any event, opposite sides castling position, a lot going on. Our queen is hanging. There are mate threats in the air. All right, one move we can just. By the way, WV Chess, and I have this in the chat rules. Do not put any. I'm sure you know this, but don't put any variations in the chat, please. Okay. I play real moves on this channel. I said this to somebody yesterday. You know, if you want to help some Class D player get 90 on Puzzle Rush Survival, there are plenty of channels to do that. I play real moves. Actually, play real moves. So right off the bat, rook takes d4. Let's just throw that out because queen takes c2, king a1, queen b2 is mate. Okay. Coming back to take with the queen, you know, if you just look at the material balance in position, we're down a bishop right now, okay? So even a simple recapture, that position is totally unclear. So this is a really kind of a you need to take on d4 and kind of hope for the best type of position. And if again, I try not to get myself in this habit of like using the fact that I'm solving tactical puzzles to help me solve the tactical puzzle, right? Like if this were a real game, I would really be weighing the ramifications of taking with the pawn versus the queen. Okay. Here I'm not doing that. We're already down a pawn. It's like going into that ending will get us nothing. In fact, we're probably just worse, because then black's taking on b3, and so we're pretty much forced to take on d4 with a pawn here, and then just calculate from there, as far as I can tell. Okay. So, where to put the king? King a1 is a very forcing line that we can calculate, right? Because king a1, queen c3, okay, king a2 is forced. Pawn takes b3. Man, I don't think you want to be taking back and opening up the A file. That looks crazy. Oddly enough, I think it might be stepping to b2. Okay, the other candidate move we can knock out here is king c1. Okay, don't even consider that move. Well, king b2. There's also moves like a3 we have to calculate. And these are sometimes the hardest puzzles there are to do, is to solve a position where you're having to find an accurate move for the king. I think this is going to take me a couple minutes to solve, and considering this is a shorter stream and we're already almost up to an hour on our session, I think I'm going to call it there. Okay, this move pawn takes c4, once you just look at the position, it's a fairly obvious move. So we'll just basically pick up where we left off from this position tomorrow. One thing I want to do really fast, well, actually I'll do that later, never mind. All right, let's switch over to live play. Looking good. All right, I think I have time for at least one game. At least one game. All right, Skolenix. Good luck to you. Who's he from? Nigeria? Yeah. A lot of players I encounter from Nigeria, and again, I'm not trying to stereotype here, but are very principled players. Very principled indeed. Like, it doesn't surprise me that my opponent doesn't surprise me at all that my opponent went for this kind of main line. Wait, what the heck just happened? He didn't take on c6. That's what just happened. Okay. What is this variation? I take, and after a4... Oh, man. Don't I just give back the knight? Is this a variation where I'm playing d5? Oh, no, wait. I know what it is. Or wait, is this a draw line? No. Forgive me, I just really started studying these variations. So I've looked at this before, but I just don't remember. I think I come here. The only question I have is whether or not I take. I don't remember. Do I play d5? I don't necessarily want to play bishop e7 and walk into knight f5. That looks crappy. I guess I'm gonna take. Don't know about this. Does bishop e7 walk into e6? Not really. Just castle into that. Alright, I mean, I've got a very passive looking position. I gotta study that. I gotta study that sideline where they're not taking on. But this is what white does. Okay, especially at my level. People are not going in for the Berlin endgame. Okay, so he does go for this line. I thought that might happen. I was just planning on castling into this. And then maybe look to play d5. Bishop f6. No light scored bishop to worry about, so... I've actually got a really nice position here. But this is what I'm saying about the Berlin. You know, one of my viewers was like, oh god, why would you play that? It's so dumb, you're just gonna get a bunch of draws. No, that's not what happens. Because players certainly below master level, you know, that's all I aspire to be. It's 2200 USCF. I don't really care about getting higher than that. They're not going in for the endgame. They're just not. So you end up really just getting... Wow, I'm surprised you put the knight on c3. You really just end up getting positions where... where white has just played a less testing version of the Spanish. Where they're putting the pawn on d3, for instance. Okay, he moved the bishop. So I was just... So why did he move the bishop there? Alright, let's gain time for our development. This looks good. I really like... I mean, look at our position. Bishop pair, better center. Awesome. Let's put the bishop on this long diagonal. That looks good. Queen d7, rooks to the e-file, and we're good to go. What is the purpose of rook b1? I guess to move the knight to an undisclosed location. I'm not 100% sure about that one. Where's the best square for my queen? I think this looks good. Let's just protect this bishop. No loose pieces. Just play around this dark squared bishop. Get our last piece into the game. pretty simple chess. Okay. So maybe going for some sort of minority. I don't know. That just seems really slow to me. Yo, best 50. Best 500 elo. Sorry. Thanks for the follow. Welcome to Team MVP. Really appreciate it. Exactly. Yeah, WV Chess, you know what's going on. They just don't do that. So it's like a big bluff, basically. So, man. At the very least, at the end of this line, he's going to have some pawns hanging. Man, the thing is, I like where every single one of my pieces are. It's like... Okay, that's kind of what I was hoping to provoke. Just a little weakening. Now I can... I'm fine bringing it back. So that was worthwhile to bring the rook to e4 to provoke this move. I think. I hope. Yeah, and I guess I could have brought the rook to e6. I guess I could have done that. I mean, the one nice thing that f3 does do for his position is it gives his rook a little more support. Maybe I could look to advance in the center. SJD, try to enjoy the journey, okay? Everyone is so fixated on how long until I get my title, how long until I get to 2,000, how long this. Just enjoy the journey, man. It's supposed to be fun. Don't tie your chess success to a rating like that. Okay. I'm not sure that was the... I can just duck the knight back now, right? I really like my my prospects in an endgame. I just view this as a long-term weakness, and the two bishops are just friggin' killer. So you got to take with the bishop here, right? Which is going to cede the file to me, which I will take. Of course, if queen captured there, I would have been able to break through. So I do see a way to win. Yeah, that's not gonna cut it. I think I can start advancing these pawns. Yeah, and you started in the year. The last thing you should be thinking about is 2000. Really. Just enjoy the game, have fun. That's the most important thing right now. You need to develop a good relationship with the game to make it sustainable. If you're tying all this stuff to your rating, you're going to start to hate it because it's hard as hell. And then don't believe these. You know, I'm a coach. Okay, I'm telling you the real deal here. Don't buy into this. Oh, 2000 in 1 year, guaranteed. There's so many snake oil salesmen in the chess coaching in the chess coaching profession. It's ridiculous. Okay, he's going in for the end game. Okay then. I really like my prospects in this end game. This knight is completely dominated. It looks like I'm going to be able to get my king pretty active. Best 500, thanks man. I don't have a drink on me, so... Fake drink. Fake hydrate. I think this has kind of gone the distance. I think this is going to be my only game. I appreciate you, appreciate the follow, appreciate you chatting, appreciate you interacting, though. That's great. Only question is, do I have enough time to convert a position like this? Don't know. Man, my king's getting active. You know, he can play a move like this, but like because of this pawn tension, I can just kind of bail out. Start taking stuff. That's a prime example. If he tries to fix this weakness, I can do one of these. Oh, thanks. Bagel just gave me the hydrate. Thank you. Oh, baby, that's good. All right. All right, we need to find some quick moves to play. Quick improving moves. Really like of this bishop, the look of this bishop rerouting. All right, the time discrepancy is becoming less of a factor because my opponent's using a lot of time. Okay, so he came here. This is what I was saying about that is because of the pawn tension, this bishop b8 idea wasn't really working, because if he had did it immediately, I would have been able to take. And that's a big time problem. That's a BTP. I see. I don't think I can allow him to take there on. Oh, I kind of didn't appreciate that pawn was going to be hanging anyway. Oh, man. Yeah, I kind of blew this one. Just got too far down on the clock. That was a critical position there. I'm happy with how I played, though. Even if I lose this game, it's not a big deal. I just got a little behind on the clock because I had to figure out some stuff in the opening over the board. Not a big deal. I'll tighten that up, and then the next time I get a position like this, I won't have this issue on the clock, and I'll win it. Not sure I quite understood that one. Okay. Oh, got him with 1.3 seconds. Oh, man. Woo. GG, man. The double bishops. Man, I told you those were killer bees. Oh, man. All right, that was all book. But look, this is the thing, right? Look at my time. This is the only reason that this was even, no disrespect to my opponent, this is the only reason that this was even a game, because the position I got was really, really good. But look, 946, 915, 823, 744. 2 minute, and we are on move what? 8. You know, that's just what happens when you're playing a new opening. But now I got this over the board, I'm really going to be comfortable with it. Yeah, and e6 is just not a thing. I was thinking that was a move, but we just castle right into it and get just a really good position. c6, center, bishop pair, lead in development. Okay, didn't like that. Oh, can we just push this knight now? Gain some space? No. Okay, so it was a bishop. Oh, I was looking at this. But then I was thinking after bishop f4, like, what's the point? Oh, I can take here. Take. Actually, you got bishop d3 here. Oh, okay. So bishop f4 is not a good move. So it really would have probably provoked f4. And then we bring the bishop to f6. Got it. That's a really good example of provocation there. Overlooked the opportunity to eventually win a pawn. Really? Pushing on there. Okay. It's hard to know what to do sometimes with the center this nice. It's like, this pawn chain is so perfect. And it complements my dark sword bishop and all my pieces so well that it's like, you don't even want to touch it. So, that's why I kind of settled on this move. That's a hard move to make. What happens after c3? Oh, it's pinned, but still. Ugh. Why would I put my rook there? That's such a computer move. My rooks are perfectly doubled. Just drop it back. They said this is a mistake, but the computer's starting to agree with my move now. It gives it a second best with still an advantage. You need to find a really concrete variation to justify playing your rook like this. Because there are no safe squares on this entire rank for it to go. No way am I playing that. No, thank you. Alright, so where did I mess up in this? I missed the opportunity to kick the knight. Okay. So yeah, that's looking much better. Yeah, and I got basically a decisive amount of king activity here. I just didn't handle this correctly. I should have saved this pawn. I think. No. Is it a counterattack here? Oh, just defending. Of course. Why didn't that didn't even occur to me. I just wanted to keep pressure on this h-pawn, but yeah. That's fine, and then maybe what we just do is kind of walk the king over like this. Yeah, I just kind of rushed it there. Yeah, and I probably should have brought the bishop there. Yeah, just to keep everything nice and defended. I'm doing well there. Best 500. I don't do game reviews and I don't do viewer play anymore. Sorry, people just completely ruined it. So no, I'm not doing that. But best of luck with your chess improvement. Yeah, and we just got these killer bees, and I was able to pre-move pretty much all of this. So the move he definitely should have played here, I think, is this. Bishop g7 is best, because I had this, he had enough time. He had 27 seconds. I had to pre-move all of this. So he would have been in a position to just capture here, and then I would have flagged. I don't want to get into it. Don't want to get into it. Yo, Sagat GM. Thanks for the follow, man. Really appreciate it. Be sure to turn on your notifications because we're just about to take off here. My streams on Wednesdays are always a little short because I've got an important appointment to get to. But Yeah, just want to thank Best 500 Elo and Saka GM for the follow. Really appreciate you guys joining Team MVP. Be sure to come back. Turn on your notifications. I stream daily, okay? Bagels, as always. WV Chess, really good to see you, man. And thanks for being so active in the chat today. SJD, just love the game, man. Don't worry about your rating right now, okay? Don't worry about 2,000, okay? Love the game. Keep playing. Ratings will come through that. And that'll about do it. Okay. I will be back tomorrow at the regular time, around 9 o'clock or so. If you're watching on YouTube, what? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Get over to Twitch, MVP _ chess. Follow us, turn on your notifications. Be part of the community, okay? We miss you over here. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much. Bye.